Hello again, everybody. It's Harry Boxer, the technical trader, techtrader.com. It's Saturday morning, February the 3rd. This is the weekend webinar. Another record week for several of the major indices and solid performances from quite a few dozen stocks that we follow. Obviously, it's a thin, narrow market, which I'm concerned about. We'll be talking about that in a little bit. For starters, let's take a look at the S&P 500 since November. The October 27th pullback low was 42.78. On Friday, we reached 49.75. So 700 points, about 15% just since November. And if you look at the long-term pattern, this looks like to me a 1, 2, 3. That's leg 1, 2, 3, 4 was a 5-wave affair, and then 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Anyone that doesn't think the market's long in the tooth and extended isn't really looking at what's in front of them. For me, I am concerned about the direction of the market, at least for the next, couple, 3, 4 weeks. And it's also that February, March period is always more difficult for the markets in general, at least from historical standpoint. So, and it's time, plenty of time is short. You do not want to step in front of a runaway freight train, folks. I know this looks like the top of a fifth, but it could get up to the channel top here at 50, 40, 50, 30, 40, or even extend to 51.40. We're not that far away. On the other hand, a move below last week's low of 48.45 here, and then it would be targeting 4,700, 45, 60, 70, etc. But for now, you can't assume the market's going lower until it does at least start to turn down and have more than one day. For example, look at this one-day decline here. Look how the market was turning ugly, right back up again. Then it came down and tested again. Finally broke out, and now trending again. Look at the rising moving averages, all of them very strong. That's your S&P 500. Nasdaq 100, not too dissimilar. Big day on Friday, up 1.7%, almost 300 points. More importantly, the highest close we've seen on the Nasdaq 100 in its history. That's right, 17,642 at the close, not far from the high for the entire all-time high. So let's just say that if this extends, then it's a 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, and we get a fifth wave up, we can see 18,000 very quickly on a spike up into that level. Something like that wouldn't shock me. Neither would a quick pullback here. There is some resistance. Previous high 17, intraday 17,665. Friday's high was 17,682. So pretty much right there. If you get a follow through, it can be quick and dirty. And if not, we pull back and test. So that's your Nasdaq 100. What about the transportations? Well, the trannies and the small caps look much different. With the S&P and NDX making new all-time highs, you can see that transportations are nowhere near it. Although I must say, what I am seeing now is the possibilities of some sort of large wedge forming. And if that's a leg 1 and 2, then 3 could really be big, really big. Might even lead the way. I wouldn't be so bold to predict that. But you can see that if we do get above tranny 16, say 2, you can see 16.7 and 17.5. Any of that's possible. The measure move is way up there as well. Watching 15.150 as your key support, and Thursday's low at 15.368 would be something to watch too. Small caps also wedging. Take a look at the long base this is built. Now this is a year and a half that we've been between 160 some odd to 200 in that 40-point range. It's a big base. You nominally broke through it here, only to back off. Now, after a falling wedge ensued, and that would be right here. We broke out, got up to resistance, and backed off. Net, watch next week the IWM if it gets over 199.5. Then you might see 205, 208, 212, and more. Key is going to be in 100% drop dead stop on a 188. Last week's low of 191.5 would be a warning sign if it breaks. And it's not that far from it. So that's a look at the 4 major indices I follow. Underlying technicals, well, this is a real eye-opener. How can the markets be making new all-time highs and yet we have a negative oscillator? That's something that's really a warning for me, folks. I'm not saying go out and short everything, but I would be tightening my stops and I would be raising cash. You want to start to dip your feet into something on the short side? Well, you know, we've been looking at LABD and TZA for a while now. We'll get to that a little later. For now, the oscillator is on the negative side, which is really amazing to me. How about the underlying technicals in terms of market participation? What percentage of stocks are above their 40 even? That would be less than half. So when less than half your stocks are above 40% 40-day moving average, and we're at key support, any plunge below this level can start to lead to a much deeper retrace in the markets. So that must be cautious as well. That's a cautionary sign. The other thing that bothers me is that the VIX you would think would be moving up in anticipation. It's not. So I would wait to see if the markets roll and the VIX gets over 15, 40, 50. That's where you might want to start to get much more aggressive on the short side and or buying defensive things like the VIX. LABD, for example, is in a basing period. And this is a bit confusing. Let's go to an hourly chart. There you go. So you can see that sideways movement hasn't broken out yet. But if you suddenly get a surge above 10.5 on the LABD, you might start to see this go to 11 1/4, 11.5, 12, whatever. XBI looks similar. Sorry, that's the bull side. LABD and the TZA that I follow closely, I would want to see that one over 23. And then you have 24 1/4, 35 to contend with as a potential target, as well as 25 3/4. So I'm going to be watching these carefully next week. If the market breaks down and these start to pop, and maybe excellent day trades, then we've been, and or hedges, we'll see. So some of the other ETFs we follow closely, semiconductors. It's an hourly chart. It's a beauty, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now a consolidation, which the fifth wave consolidation is always less reliable. We've talked about that for years. But if we do extend, I would look for about 202, 204. That could be substantial. And on a long-term basis, we're looking at 225 to 228. Hard to say whether that's the case. Here's the daily. You can see what I'm looking at. Inverse head and shoulder breakout and then trend. We've been in since October of 22, a low of 83.49. We made it up to 195. Phenomenal move, about 150% move in a year and a half for the SMH alone. So you know why, and you can see who is leading the market higher. Semiconductors. Biotechs, well, we showed you, but let me go to financials first. Financials also solid. The FAS has moved from 48.73 to 94, doubling. And should we get back above this 94 range, we might see 99, even 110 if the market gets in a blow-off mode. Last week's Thursday's low, though, keep an eye on 85.5. Just keep that in your back of your mind. Let's look at the hourly. I'm talking about this pullback low here. There's some highs in there, pullback, and then a retest. So you can see the targets would be 93.45, maybe 99. What's worrying me most now is the biotechs. They have gone nowhere, and they're not confirming. And if you look at this pattern, this is either one beautiful bull coil, and we're going to explode out of here and go along with the SMH and FAS, or it'll be a telltale sign the market's breaking down. Watch this XBI under 87, and we're right there at 87.65. In addition to that, the moving average is 84.90. So the 85.87, that's big support. And if we crack that, we might start to see, low 80s, high 70s. So I'm concerned about biotechs leading the market lower. If you look at LABU, which is a reverse split stock, it was 10 for 1, 1 for 10. It went from the effectively 448.5 to 142, almost 100 points, adjusted for a split, even if it's 10 points. So the bottom line is it pulled back, and that too has what could be a left shoulder, head right shoulder, or a wedge. And how many times have you heard me say head and shoulders are not head and shoulders until they break? They could be wedges or coils. In this case, in the case of the LABU, note that the moving average, the 50-period moving average, at 106.83, and price support at 106.88 are at the same place. A break below 106 3/4, and it's not inconceivable that happens quickly. Could lead to could have the biotechs leading the market lower. All right, so let's go through the components of the Nasdaq 100 for starters. The big boys, Apple. Look at that plunge. Apple goes from 196 to 179, 17 points in about 7 days. Only 1 day of those were up. 7 of the last 8 days. Look at the double bottom. Apple's lower, 179.25, is a must hold. You stop underneath that one, folks, because we can see 10 more points to the downside. At least the reversal was a nice one. But you can see for 3 days, price and moving average resistance come in at about 190.91. If we get above that, I'm sorry, that's not correct. 187. So we get above 187, that'll help the market rally. If not, dangerous. So that's Apple. On the other hand, look at Amazon, Blowout, and Meta. These were two big earnings, explosive type moves that really helped the market explode on Friday. Amazon, Meta, and Microsoft as well. Although that was up, it wasn't up, didn't do any breakaway moves. Keep your eye on Microsoft support 397, resistance 415, your target is 424 at the mid-range channel top. Other stocks that low, look at Google. Google, which got hammered, came right down to key support at the trend line and lateral price support. This is a must hold for me. Stop under 136 3/4. It did get down to 138 and then bounced. So we'll have to see what happens, whether this is a important reversal bar with the tail. Big volume too, 43 million. NVIDIA. Also blowout, new all-time high. So now we're looking at Amazon, NVIDIA, and Meta. These three stocks, monsters in the midway, all in blow-off fashion. Now these could be topping type patterns or major breakouts into a maybe exhaustion gap that could lead to, a momentum play that takes these higher. Very difficult call up here. I would say watching the lows though. Keep an eye on Friday's lows for most of these. Unless they crack, the whole market could come down pretty hard. And there's Netflix, which although it didn't do as much this week, the week before it did, it had a beautiful consolidation coil. Look at this coil setup. So if the market wants to go and Netflix wants to participate, it wouldn't shock me if we reach almost 600. 590 is my target. And Tesla, well, that's the weak sister. And I wouldn't touch this with a 10-foot pole. Sorry, that's just me. It's terrible technically. It broke here, it broke there, and it broke there. And the next target, the next two targets, 164, 152. It's easy to see that happening the way this chart looks right now. The only thing I would consider is Tesla short TSLS or something like that. Here, take a look at it. Look at that beautiful base, reaching a new height and then backing off. What's it doing now? After gapping, it's forming a little wedgie. This may very well see, 28.9 or even 32.3 if this Tesla does what I think it might. Okay, so careful with, if we get a market pullback, I think Tesla leads the way down. How's that? All right, let's talk about some of the other ETFs besides the three we talked about, in particular, gold. Folks, nasty day Friday. Gold was down, the GDX was down 105 or 3.6%. But more importantly, a promising bounce the day before petered out quickly. And I don't trust gold or silver. Look at AGQ. AGQ down 4.4%. It's nothing to do with these. I would avoid them. That's my take. Okay, we've gone over most of the technicals and ETFs that I wanted to talk about, but except for oil. Oil also had a really nasty pullback last week after what seemingly looked like a breakout. I'm thinking the longer term chart may look like this now. Which means the possibilities are this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves down, 3 waves up, wave 2. Wave 3 is headed for 60 in my opinion. It's possible, that's what the technicals are telling me. If they take out 64, we should see 60. We'll just have to see what happens. In terms of natural gas, terrible all year. Against key resistance, however, so watch this one carefully because it's vulnerable if it drops under 102 3/4. On the other hand, being up against resistance, it could explode to 140. We have a lot of stocks to go over. Let's do it. AAOI, I put a new swing on it when it broke out on Friday. I like the look of this one for a move eventually to 29. AEO, what a beautiful chart that is. Another retailer with a fantastic chart. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a coil. It's an easy stop under this level, say under 19 and a half. If it goes, your target's 23, 24. Affirm. We had a nice run with it, and then it pulled back. It's holding support, but you can see, and it bounced Friday. 100% stop for me under 37 and a half. If it goes, 48 and 52 are minimum targets. Akamai, something I'm going to just show you. I haven't talked about it all year, but since May when it was 70, it's gone up to 126. It's flagging. It doesn't look done yet, does it? Where's my target? Well, if it goes anywhere near here, I think closer to 135 would be a target for me. ALAR. So a beautiful chart with a rising channel that accelerated. And now you can see a beautiful ascending bull coil forming. Watch this one carefully. Above 12, I'm looking for 18. Is a big move coming, I believe. We shall see. ALLO, after a big downtrend and an inverse head and shoulders. The neckline was broken on Friday. There's additional resistance just ahead at 428. We get to that, you're looking at 6, 6.5. Alpine. Long consolidation. Finally popped, pulled back, held the moving averages and ran up and formed in some sort of wedge or coil right there. Broke out and is running hard. My target is 36. Alvo. Another biotech. Coil pop. Falling wedge. Breakaway gap. Look at that run. Doesn't look done yet, does it? New all-time highs. I would measure 18. ALXO. Yet another biotech. Breaks out of a base here with a breakaway gap and forming a beautiful coil in here. Watch this one carefully. You come out of this level, you should see 1920. That could be a nice pop. AMD. What a chart. But it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like many of the semiconductors. Now, if the move is going to go higher, we're looking at near 200, 195 to 200. However, Take a look at these lows here. 164, that's my stopping point. ANF, probably the strongest retailer chart on the board. How about in June when it broke out from about 22, it made it up to 110. A five-fold increase, 400%. And it doesn't look done yet, does it? APLS, V-bottom platform, we put a swing on it there at about 39. It subsequently made it all the way up to 73.80. It's now flagging. The next target, 80. ARCT popped across the declining top line after breaking out of a wedge, and now it's got a rising flag. Additional resistance says 37 is your target. Through that, we can see 42. ARDX, beautiful rising channel from June of 22 to early spring of 23. Then 6 months of consolidation, finally a breakout, and a flag, and now another ascending bull wedge, a coil. Looks to me like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Fifth wave could get you to 12. ARQT, a tech trader swing that did great for us. Popped out here, went from 3 3/4 to 7, nearly doubling, and had an inside day Friday. My target, 9. ARBN, long downtrend, breakout on a big bar, form a coil, consolidation, breakout and run. Extension target is 58. The swing ATOM, inverse head and shoulders with a rising neckline and shoulder line. We get to the 8 3/4 range, I would look for 9.5 and 10 3/4. AUTL, a beautiful base, breakout, retest, falling wedge, and a nice run up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, wave 1. This is 2. Wave 3 should get us to 10. If it gets to 7 and change, this is something I'd own. The LBD, inverse head and shoulder, breakout, retest, pop, falling wedge, and then pop. Net, it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So no wonder after 5 waves up, it's going to have this kind of a consolidation. But it broke out, and now it's got a 1, 2, and 3 is underway. Can we get to 35, 36, 38? That's where I think we're headed. BRBR, phenomenal breakout of a base and flag and coil, and just keep moving up the ladder. 65 target. CAMT coming out of a base here. Flag, breakaway gap, flag, retest, large ascending coil, a breakout, and another flag. Well, folks, it looks to me like this is a $100 stock. CAPT, explode, falling wedge, pop flag, pop wedge, breakout, and vertical. Last week was a stellar week for the stock, as it went from 488 to 779. And quite frankly, the way this is running, I can't tell you where it's going. 10, 11, 12, 13. It's difficult, but it has momentum. Kava, restaurant chain. After going public, it ran up and then got hammered from the base, broke out, retested, and now it's at a rising channel. Wouldn't be a shocker to me. It was up to the next target of 52.3. CBay, beautiful long-term chart, coming out of a base and trending higher. Based the way this looks, consolidating here, you got a double top resistance at about 25. You get to that, 28 and 32 are targets. CCJ, the largest purveyor of uranium, had a engulfing reversal day on Friday. It could be negative, but it is a double top. It should have suddenly reversed back above 51.30, 56 and 61 are targets. Cognite. Well, we've been all over this since it popped in April, flagged, and then broke out. But it spent a few months of doing nothing and falling back, until finally breaking back out again. Well, back to the 50 and bounced. My target is 10. Celebrate. Inverse head and shoulder type pattern. Breakout, retest the channel. Pop flag and pop again. Looking for 11. CLS breaks out of a base here. Sets up a coil and then starts to trend. This is the tech trader swing that keeps giving. We hit 37 on Friday. My target is 45. Koya. Pop broke out, flagged, and then broke down. This is a bear flag until proven otherwise. The stop is under 550. The add to would be over 6.5. Then your targets are 8 and 10.5, 11. CRBP exploded a week ago and then pulled back. It's trending back up again. It's one of those biotechs that pops on big news and then starts to trend, I believe. My first target is 30 and 35. Credo. Love this look. New all-time highs followed by a flag and then explosive pop on Friday. Looking for 25 and 30. CRNT in the low price sector. Beautiful long-term base. A breakout to resistance from a couple years ago. And then the pullback orderly. I think I'm going to wait for a pop, of course. But my targets are 290 to 3 and then 3 3/4, 4. CRNX, Crinetics, breakaway gap and pullback. We put a swing on it. It's moved from the high 20s to the 40 range, 39 actually, and now it's still flagging. But the target remains 42. Carvana has been in a month-long pullback consolidation near the trend line. It needs to hold it right there. Drop dead stop is under 36.5, but I would stop it under 40, quite frankly. We have a triple top right there. Not triple bottom, sorry. If it does go again, 60, 62 would be a target. First target, 48. DBRG breaks out of a base, coils, and runs up and breaks out. And now it's flagging. Next target is 23. Dell was a swing in September when it popped and flagged. And then from the high 60s, it made it into the mid 80s. Friday's high, 87.30. Looking for 94.5. DraftKings, one of my swing lists since way back when it broke out in May of last year in the low 20s. Well, it doubled, folks. The high on Friday was 42. My target now is 45 and 48. DYN breaks out of a big base pattern, retested a falling wedge, pops again and sets a wedge up. I think this is going higher. It looks like it wants to. 29 target. 25 and 29, sorry. EDU, look at this rising channel. No telling where this goes other than to say mid-channel target alone is 98.99. EOLS breaks out of a beautiful year-long base and then forms a wedge. Pops and it's wedging again. Popped out again. Only thing I can tell you is that we got multiple tops here at around 14.25. And should he get through that, I'm looking at 19.20. ESTC in the software group, breakaway gap, coiled. Explosive breakaway move, and then right now it's in a rising configuration. My targets are 135 and 180. EWTX comes through a declining top line that forms a falling flag, breakaway gap. What a run. 22 3/4 target. EYPT Tech Trader swing, popped and pulled back. We put a swing on it in the high teens and made it to the high 20s. Actually, thanks 29.44. I don't think it's done. 31.2 and 38.40 targets. Flex, beautiful long-term chart. Just broke out of a wedgie, popped the resistance and pulled back. 28 target. FRO, the shipping group's been very strong. I did not like the reversal action of resistance last week, so keep an eye on this one. Because a move under 21, over 20 3/4 would probably have me stopping it. It's not that far away. If it gets to 23.5, my target's high 20s. FRPT breaks out of a base and sets up a beautiful coil. And Friday punches to the top of that level. 1, 2, 3, 4. I have a fifth wave target over 100. Fastly popped out of a flag on Friday. I put a swing on it. I like the way it looks. I moved to 24 and 28. Fusion, another beautiful biotech with a breakout. Rising channel. Target 1560. GCT Tech Trader swing popped, broke out, back and filled. It's now pressing the highs. I think we're headed towards mid 30s to low 40s. Geo, after breaking out in October, we put a swing on it around 8 3/4. It's made it up to 1228, and it's consolidating. Next target, 13 and 14. General Motors. Well, how about this one? Breakaway gap, run up and flag, and another breakaway. This is called a breakaway gap. That's called a running gap. My target's 41, 44, 48. The GTHX spiked, pullback from the coil, and then broke out, and it's in a rising channel. 6 and 7.5 targets. IDYA is one of my favorite biotechs of the last year. It's gone literally from 13 to 45, tripling. I don't think it's done. It's in a rising flat configuration. 52 and 60 are targets. IMNM broke out of a basing pattern here and has run up smartly. I don't think it's done yet. 23.5 and 28 targets. INOD, inverse head and shoulder breakaway and the flag. This should be a tech traded swing with a target of 1450. INVA breaks out of a base, runs up and consolidates. Needs to hold 15 1/4, 30. Also needs to break out over 16 3/4, 80. Targets 18 3/4 and 20.5. IVVD exploded a month ago, and now ever since it's been in a rising channel. Great looking chart. Near-term target 5.5, and then I'm looking for 8 and 9. Copen, big day on Friday, the biggest volume in its history from what I can tell. 28 million shares traded on the day when the stock was up 28%. I think we go higher. 3, 4, and 5 are targets. That's a new tech trader swing. Kura. Well, first of all, Kura came through this declining top center right there. Ran up and then backed off. Breakaway gap wedge. Pop wedge. Looks to me like a stair stepping. 26 and 31 targets. LBPH, a massive move on big drug news. When it pulled back, I gave you a swing on it. It moved up a little bit, got up to 28, but it's pulled back to under 20 now and in jeopardy of a breakdown. Next support, if it doesn't hold here, is 16. LTRX. Well, a nice base formed. When it broke out here, I put a swing on it. It didn't work because it didn't break out, and I was a little premature. Of course, it pulled back. Then it broke out a wedge, popped, and did the same thing. I'm looking for 8 and 10. LUNR, lunar. Break out of a base, it appears, and it's consolidating. Your next targets, 4 1/4, 5 1/4, 6.5. MGNX, breakaway pop, wedge, and nothing but a run up. Awesome chart, 20 target. MJ, marijuana stocks are running, and so is the ETFs for that group. MJ, MSOX, I believe is another. Excuse me, MSOS. There you go. You can see the breakout on this one too. So the whole group has been strong, but the ETFs in particular, with good volume and technicals, really intriguing me now. Moving on to MREO, another junior biotech that's accelerated its angle of ascent and is now flagging. This is not going to surprise me if it breaks out here. It's going to spike into the high single digits. So look for maybe a double. NRG, 54 all-time highs. Rising channel might accelerate. We're looking for high 50s, low 60s. What can I say about Nutanix? It's been on my list since it broke out in September in the low 30s. It's made it to 59, 58.95 to be exact. I'm looking for 63.4 and more. NTRA, breakaway move, rising channel, holding support, looking for 75. Nuvalent, in a beautiful coil after a big run. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe I've counted it wrong. But I think the stock could be in the low 90s. 93.4 target. NXE, beautiful rising channel, flag breakout and run up reversal. Target 9.5. NXT, exploded Thursday, followed through Friday, it's overbought. Any consolidation in this area, I can see 63, 65 or more. NYXH, how about this? Gap, 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 gap. A run from 4 to 13 in a week, a sharp pullback, and then an immediate snapback. Well, we'll see if 13 gets taken out. If it does, we're looking at mid-teens. OLMA popped this week. It was up every day, going from 1084 to 1582, breaking through a double top, It's right there now. Next target, retest 18 and then 22. ORIC broke out of a consolidation zone, got to the target, backed off, flagging. Next target, 13. Oscar. OSCR broke out here, rising channel, breakout wedge, and extending. Beautiful long-term chart. I wouldn't be shocked to see 17 and 20. PATH base breakout and a coil. This is a good setup. Watch this one over 24, 26, and 29 are targets. Puma. Long base, breakout, and a pullback. I need this to hold 440. Your target 6.5. PACCAR. What a beautiful chart that is. It keeps going. After breaking out of the wedge, it's flagging. Your target 110. PCVX is flying. After breaking out here and consolidating, we've been all over this one. It's gone from the mid-20s to the mid-70s in a triple, but it doesn't look done yet. PHR, V-bottom, platform, breakaway gap, and running up. This looks great. It went up through resistance last week. Your next target, 30.31. PHVS, breakout, flag, and wants to extend, in my opinion. Looking for 40 and 48. Impinge, Tech Trader swing, flagging, and looking great here. Targeting 114. Pinterest, at the top of the long-term channel with a really strong configuration. On Friday, it popped on 16 million shares, 226 or 6%. It follows through here. We're looking at 43 and 47. Plug, reversal, wedge, breakout, inside day Friday. I'm looking for more. 5.5, 6.5 coming. Powell. Well, when this thing popped back here in August and then coiled, we put a swing on it, but it really never got anywhere. Finally breaking out this week, a big earnings report. I'm looking for a move to 139. PSTG breaks out of consolidation mode after V-bottoming and platforming. It's now 1, 2, 3, 4, and moving again. Looking for 45. Ramp. Beautiful rising channel. Breakaway gap, coil, pop, retest, double top, breakout with a gap, and then retest the gap. My target is 44.5. RNA, Tech Trader swing continues to channel up. Once it gets through 13, my target is 15. RUM, big pop and wedge and breakout. Let's see if this extends. If it does, your targets are 8.5 and 10. RXST, I just love the look of this chart. I think if it pops above 50, you may see mid-50s to low 60s. Rhythm, pharmaceuticals. Breakaway gap, long consolidation, pop and run, now wedge. Target, 60. It's SGHT, inverse head and shoulders, now pulling back. I really need it to hold right about there, so keep an eye on it. If it holds 4,420, I'd be looking for 5 3/4 and 7. Shopify. Long-term chart, excellent. Breakaway gap in November, and a big run-up. Ever since then, stock's been in a rising channel. My targets are 90 and 100. SLNO popped and coiled. We put a swing on it. It eventually broke the coil and ran from the low 20s to the high 40s. On Friday, tagging just under 50. But you can see it's a flag for 2 weeks. I think this thing's headed for 55 and 60. SMCI, the Monster Midway. Folks, this is up 100% from 3 to 600. Are you ready? In 2 weeks. 306 on January 18th to 606, February 2nd. Pretty amazing move. If momentum carries us further, could be an $800 stock. Wouldn't shock me. Snap, long-term base, breakout, and a 2-month coil for consolidation pack. If this breaks out, we're looking at 20 and 24. Snow, Tech Trader swing, broke out, retested, and popped big time Friday, up 18 points or 9%. I'm now looking for 225 and 245. Spotify keeps going, now 222, looking for 250. SSNT, pop wedge, pop wedge. Is there another one in it? Keep your stops under 12. Looking for a move over 16.5. That could get you to low 20s, maybe mid 20s. STNE, South American software stock, breaks out of a base and runs and now is forming an ascending bull wedge or flag. Either way, 22 and 26 targets. STTK, breakaway gap, rising channel, extension target 15. That could be a good one. SYRS, breakaway move, pull back and retest. Explode, form a coil. Break out of the coil. What's the next move? 10. Little TALK in a beautiful rising channel. Fundamentally improving, technically looking great. A nice setup. 3, 4, and 5 are your targets going forward. TARS with an inverse head and shoulders and a flag and then a really beautiful run up. Don't ask me where I was. Bottom line is it's near my $30, $31 target. Taboola broke out a few days ago and is flagging. I think it goes to 5 3/4. Teva, beautiful rising channel as well. After breaking out of a long-term base, I'm now looking for 13.5, 14. TGI, tech traded swing, pop, coiled and broke out. It's sitting here, poised to pop some more. And should it get through here, because you might see high teens, maybe 20. How about this TLSI? Explodes from 3 and change, triples to 993, and then spends 6 weeks coiling and tightening. Should it break out? $13 target. Keep an eye on this one. TMDX, breakaway gap, rising channel, doesn't look done. Targets 100 and 118. TSVT, inverse head and shoulder. Breakout, inside day, solid day Friday. Looks to me like it wants to run some. Keep an eye on it. Targets are 7 and 8.5. Twist, bio, long-term downtrend. Bull flag breakout, bull coil breakout. Targets 39 3/4, 40, and then mid 40s. Uber now in the high 60s from where we first gave it to you at 29 and change. Looks to me like it's still going higher. I have a target of 74. UEC, junior uranium stock, looks higher to me as well. It broke out, flagged, now it's popping again. I'm looking for 9.5 and 11. UIS, after breaking out, we put a swing on it. It's run from 3.5 and doubled, and now pulled back. I don't think it's done yet. Next target, 9.5. How about Vera? Breakaway gap and a vertical run up. Up 7 days in a row and 10 out of 11, having gone from 15 to 40 in 3 weeks. Be careful. It's at the top of the channel and near resistance, but it certainly has momentum. Viking breaks out of a base, flags, pops, flags again and pops. Pull back a little bit because it's near the all-time highs. Not all-time, but yeah, all-time highs. So watch this one carefully because any move above 25, we can see 29, 30 or more. VRT, another wonderful week and another new all-time high. Phenomenal chart. Can't tell you how far it goes, but my target right now is 70. VST, similar chart, rising channel is smoking it right now. Channel top target is 46, maybe high 40s. Wrap, closed out a 2-year high, coming out of a big base. I still think we extend to 5, 6, and 7. XERS, pop, pull back its coil. This is a tech trader swing with a stop under 225.30. I need to get this over 2 3/4. I need targets 3.5 and 4. XPL Logistics, let's consider this the finest transportation company out there. Breaks out on Friday. All you have to know is it looks higher. I have a target now of 115. And that's it for the longs. There's just a few shorts to cover, and that'll be it. I'll be doing a lot more work over the weekend on the short side. But for now, this is what I'm seeing. AEHR continues to look horrendous, but it is at the bottom of the channel. My indication of a short at 29.30 has worked as it's got down to under 15, believe it or not, from 57. Incredible. Or 53. It's extremely oversold, I should say, but not ready yet. ASAN. Well, I think it's in the down channel. Should it break this line, you might see that stock in 13-14 zone. AVAV, can't be sure yet. Hasn't broken. Be careful. If it breaks this pattern, you might see that stock in 104 range or less. CHX in the oil sector, you can see the perfect parallel channel down. Friday was not a good day for it. My target's at 23.5 and 20. CMT, a large bear coil, after a big drop. This thing could get hammered into the low teens. Be careful. Cocoa, tech trader swing short, head and shoulder top, breakdown, bear flag. It just keeps dropping now. And we just moved from 21.5 and closing at 19.5. Might see 18 and 15. CQP, a big bear wedge. After breaking down or wedging, if it collapses here, you're looking at high 40s and low 40s. FLYW from that big bear wedge around the 24 range and then rolled over to 19. It's bounced. I don't trust it. Target 18. Fox Factory, we'll see. It's beginning to roll over. It has not broken through the tops yet. I think breakthrough there, and it really gets hammered. My target is 48. INMD, a long bear coil as well. Wedge base, what is it? We'll find out if it breaks down. And if it does, 18.75 and 13 are targets. Tech trader swing short Jill after breaking down a bear flagging right there. I gave you a short at 26.5 and it dropped to 23. My target's at 22 and 19. LNTH broke down from the bear wedge, a bear flag, I should say, and got hammered from 65 to 50. And now forming another bear flag. Next target is 48 and 45. MIRM, look at this one. Breaks a big uptrend, forms a bear flag. This should be shorted right now, in my opinion. I think we're going to test 24 and 21. And finally, NTES, big snapback to resistance. Will it fail? Watch this one carefully under 96. That's where I think it falls to high 80s and maybe as low as 80. So 80, let's just call it 86.7 and 80.81. Folks, that's an exhaustive look at all the technicals, indexes, Nasdaq 100 generals, the major ETFs, and a bunch of longs, a few shorts as well. I'll be adding something to that list over the weekend, perhaps. This is HBN. Have a great rest of your weekend. Be prepared. Review this a couple of times. Get yourself ready for next week, which should be volatile. Have a great weekend. I'll talk to you later.